Hey guys, Captain CA here with FlatsClass YouTube. Today's YouTube video, a little bit different. We're going to talk about the new Sodium University, and this is Class 1, Springtime Fishing. So, sit back, get a pencil and pad out, and get ready to learn something. This episode of FlatsClass YouTube is brought to you by Aquatraction, your go-to solution for advanced marine flooring. This will be the largest retailer on the west coast of Florida by far. As you can see, this is another building now. So paddle sports is going to grow, probably some camp stuff. This is going to be like the store, the destination in fishing. And John's kind of the go-to guy of getting brands in here for us. So there's going to be a lot of help, and hopefully with the help of Cameron at Lateral Media, my son, and myself, we will make this thing the biggest West Coast brand as far as what you guys are used to. You're going to think about this before you think about any other place. Water temps determines how the tempo of the bait's going to be presented to the fish. So naturally, the warmer the water is, the more you can get away with speed-wise. The colder the water is, you got to slow down. But extreme hot water has the same effect as the cold water, because it puts less dissolved oxygen in the water. So now you can't fish shallow, you need to fish deeper where there's a thermocline, there's cooler water. The Mirrolure MR17 is probably the best lure that I use as far as gaining confidence with clients to catch fish. This time of year, when we don't have as much floating grass on the surface to make it a challenge, this is the best time of year to be throwing hard baits. I always throw hard baits in the winter and in the spring, constantly. I will tell you, the better fish usually come off hard baits because you got to have an aggressive fish. So I like throwing hard baits a lot. I grew up throwing hard baits because all the soft baits when I grew up sucked. They were terrible. I mean, they were beyond terrible.
Only bass guys use it.
Only the bass guys, the cream worm and stuff like that, that's what they use. We hardly ever use soft baits. We use Berkeley stuff, like the old power bait stuff, like the tube baits and things like that. We use those, we fill them up with sponges that we soaked in menhaden oil, and then we throw them in potholes and let them sit there and stand up and shake them a little bit. Boom, you catch a redfish. But God, you could catch redfish on a pair of jig back then, it seemed like. All right, guys, we're at the halfway point, which means it's lunchtime, and it's provided by Catch 22 right here in Crystal River. It makes everything that much better. We're going to have a fantastic second half to the class. Hope you enjoyed the first half. I'm going to get a quick bite to eat, and we'll get right back to it. There is room for seconds for those of you that have a little bit better appetite. You want to go back in there, you can go get a little bit more food, and we're going to leave the food in there so that if you want to snack later you can, but if you want it while it's nice and hot and everything, feel free to go back in there and get a little something else. And we are going to get everything cranked up here in about 5 minutes. So any last second get rid of trash stuff or get another plate, do it now. And then in about 5 minutes, we're going to get restarted with part 2 of the Sodium University. So imagine a circle hook, and the denser the plastic, if you will. So a regular plastisol bait, you might put a circle hook and you just put it through the nose like this. And you would give this bait some crazy action. Just twitch, 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 twitch. what I do with the Z-Man stuff is I just rig it on a jig head. So I'll rig it on a jig head, and that way, remember how I told you how far back we keep pinching the action? Well, this way you can put it on the very front, and this bait will have a wild action, a totally wild action. So you make a cast and you're twitching this thing, and this bait is just swimming all over the place. You can either do it with a jig head rig, or you can rig it on a larger bait like this. I remember the first time I showed this to John Oliverio, we were fishing in Tampa Bay for trout. I was like, hey, we're gonna rig the bait just like this on a rigging hook. And he goes, why? I go, because it's gonna have some crazy action. We're gonna be able to work it over the top. We're gonna probably catch snook and trout, but we're definitely gonna catch snook. Well, he ended up catching redfish, snook, and trout that day. All right, donkey rig is something that we use when shad are on top and you're trying to catch schoolie bass all the time and you just whack them. So it's 2 of these baits rigged in tandem. So what you do is you rig 2 of these baits exactly the same. I do it mostly with my 4-inch jerk shads instead of the 5s. And then I'll put this one on about an 8-inch leader, okay? And a swivel, a Sampo swivel. So I'll have 8 inches of fluorocarbon and a Sampo swivel. The next one I'll rig on like 15, 16 inches of fluorocarbon line on a swivel. So they're at 2 different lengths. The shorter length I'll put on my braid so it slides up and down. I just put the braid through the swivel. So it's gonna just go through this. I don't have an extra swivel, but the swivel that's attached to this on the 8-inch, I just put the braid through that so this will slide up and down my braided line. And then I attach with a double Palomar knot the braid to the longer one, the 16-inch length with the swivel. And that way when they're laying together, they're almost back to back. You know, this one's here and this one's here, and you can dart, and these things will, if there were 2 of them here, they'll never get tangled, but they'll swim like this when you're darting it through the water, and they just swim. Is it not crazy? Do they ever get tangled?
Yeah.
And whichever one they hit, they're not pulling against each other because they're on 2 separate lines, so they just slide up and down. And if you get into a mess of trout with a donkey rig, you will, if you get into a mess of ladyfish, it'll get ugly. It'll be a bloody mess. So what you're doing is you've got a small neutral buoyancy fly here, and you're popping this on the surface. It's just walking on the surface. And this little fly is getting jerked around. It's like you're jerking your little brother around. So this is popping, making noise, going across the surface while you're walking it, and this fly is going crazy back here. And because this is a lesser, weaker bait, they smoke it. So you'll catch, sometimes you'll catch 2 at a time on this rig too. It's kind of a tandem ring. So you'll catch trout on the back one, on the smaller, weaker bait, and you'll catch trout on the plug itself. You'll catch the bigger trout usually on the plug, and the smaller one on the weaker bait. A lot of fun to use. Takes a little while to get used to casting it, but once you get used to casting it, it's a lot of fun to use. And I've got a million of those little things where we take a heavy bucktail, and then we do the same thing for pompano on the bottom. There's all kinds of little tricks that you can do. I learned most of them from old guys, but now that I'm an old guy, these are all my tricks. There's a lot of spawns going on right now. So you've got a sheep's head spawn going on right now, or just ended in February. You got the trout spawn going on right now. The snook will be spawning later in the summer, but they're feeding for it already. So there's a lot of aggressive stuff going on right now. So you're going to have a lot of opportunities. There's way more artificials in play right now than there will be at any other time in the year. So almost all the stuff that you can use right now. When we get into summer, there'll be so much grass, there'll be so much boat traffic, fish will be beat up for a while. The artificials get tougher and tougher to use. You'll be using plastics, and you'll be fishing during the week, and you'll be looking for opportunities. You'll be fishing early, and you won't be fishing late anymore, or you'll be fishing at night. A lot of guys, like Billy Henderson tells me, in the summertime he doesn't even bother fishing during the day. He fishes only at night. Now he has a boat that'll run around like that in the middle of the night, but I'm not running around out here. I don't even like running around here on a cloudy day, much less the middle of the night. Goes to 649. 649. Right there.
One big check, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
For those of you that like to partake in spirits, this is a really nice bottle of rum. It's a sipping rum. Please don't mix it with anything, just pour it with ice cream. This type of nectar I hate seeing soiled when someone puts something in it.
I think they ought to share.
Just drink it.
This is
And you have to be 21. So if you're,
Legacy edition.
yeah, it's the Legacy Edition, yeah. I got 3 bottles of this and I gave up one because I knew someone here would appreciate it as much as me.
I would.
Well, 652?
You missed me by
Right here.
one. And I got to ride home with me.
You can drink half on the way home.
For the hat, 666. Right there. Everyone. I tell you what, that was not even choreographed.
At least cover the number.
All right, this is for hosting YouTube with myself. Number is 689. Already done like 5 YouTube videos with you. That's perfect.
Okay, I need the hat.
Perfect. All right. This has been a great class. I can't thank all of you enough for all of your attention. You guys were quiet as it was in church. I can't believe that. There was no crazy stuff going on. Remember your discounts downstairs. I think we have a discount as well at CaptainCaRichardson.com that you can use anytime for a one-time deal on our website, because we sell a lot of our own custom colors on that site. So you can get them there. Anytime you guys feel like you want something, because I know a lot of you came from outside the area, go to sodiumusa.com and buy stuff here online. I'm a big proponent of always supporting the local retailers, and this is going to be one of the best retailers on the west coast of Florida. When I first started coming up here, it's like I knew a little bit about sodium, but I didn't know a lot about sodium. But since I've become a resident of the area, the family is super philanthropic. They do an awful lot of good works for the people around here, and the entire community supports these folks here for at Sodium Fishing. And Sodium does a great job. They really do. They've got a great manager, great kids that work that store down there. They put a lot of kids, you know, going to the next step. So it's a great organization to be a part of, and hopefully this will be something that's going to be a more regular basis for us. Probably be doing schools here maybe quarterly in the future, and then I'm going to try to help out, like I said, a lot of the young guides that I know that are the heir apparents coming up, Socrates, guys like Brandon Branch. There's the laundry list is too long, but a lot of these young guys are going to be the stars of this area. So I'm going to try to be moderator. We'll probably do some panel discussions with certain guides around here. And do a lot more so that this media room gets used an awful lot, because it's a great venue. Big thanks goes out to Sodium Fishing for being able to host this for us, and the people at Catch 22. They're not here anymore, but if you get an opportunity to patronize their restaurant, there's a handful of restaurants that's really awesome here that are at the next level that you would see in metro area. They're definitely one. Venues are small. Food is outstanding. I think you guys would agree.
Best steaks in town.
Yes, they are. It's an unbelievable store. That's all I can say. I appreciate all of you showing up, and look forward to doing this sometime in the near future. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. It was my pleasure really to do the first one here, Sodium University, here in Crystal River, in the new media room. I hope you take something away from this class, something that you can use on the water to catch more fish. Until next time, Captain C.A. Richardson, well, signing off from my favorite fishing tackle retailer, Sodium Fishing.